world, it is almost the end of January. And I was already in my head like thinking, okay, I gotta film my January wrap-up soon. And then I realized I never uploaded my November and December wrap-up. I just kind of forgot. So I'm here to rectify that. Now, working retail during Christmas basically kills all your excess energy to do anything but work. And working retail during Christmas, during a pandemic, kind of meant I was like a zombie for 2 months. So not a lot of reading, which is why I'm gonna do November and December together. Because as I said, I was a walking zombie. But I did manage to read a few books. Most of them I did read during the holidays, on my free time, like during that weird space between Christmas and New Year's. But yeah, I did read a few books in November and December, and I want to talk about them, let you know what I did read, finish off last year completely before I start talking about the books of this year. So when I say I read a few books in November and December, I actually mean I read one book in November, a single book before Christmas time in retail started. And that was this one, Das Geheimnis des Bücherschranks by Frida Skybeck. Her first book was one of those favorites that I instantly loved, and then I gave it to all my colleagues to read and they also loved it, and we basically recommended it to everyone who asked for a book recommendation. It was a favorite, I loved it so much. Then a second book came around and I really liked it for most of the book, and then I hated the ending. Like, want to throw this book at a wall, hating the ending. And then a third book came around and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna give her another try. I think she deserves another chance. And this one was the opposite. I kind of had to force myself through the entire book, and then I really, really liked the ending. And I'm still not sure what to think of it. She does this thing where she has two timelines, one in the present and one in the past. And in the previous books, you mainly stay in the present, and then every time they get like a hint about the past, you then have the timeline in the past. But in this one, she switched every chapter, and it was so confusing, and I didn't get into the story, and I didn't care about the past. And I really like the ending when the two timelines finally connect. But up to that point, I really didn't like it. And I'm now at this point where I'm like, am I gonna read her next book? Do I really care? Is she just a one-hit wonder for me and I'm just gonna give up before I ruin her completely in my mind? I don't know. But I did read that book in November. And then in December I read the 5th part of Gefühl, Namens, Liebe. This is a really cute manga series about a first relationship. The girl basically has never been in love before, never been in a relationship. And then he asks her, because he's in love with her, if they can like do a trial run, and it's just really adorable, and they do such a good job of communicating, and it's really cute, and this was the 5th part. And I also read the manga collection Links. This is by the same author who wrote the manga story Given, which is one of my favorites, and will finally get a next part this year. And this is kind of a Christmas story collection in the sense that you have 4 different couples and then they all meet up at the end at a Christmas party. And it was really sweet, and I just love the author so much, and I was happy to read something by her, and then it also had like Christmassy vibes. So yeah, really nice December read. I also read 2 non-fiction books in the month of December. Or like, I guess I read this in November, this is Afropean by Johnny Pitts. I listened to the audiobook mostly during my train ride on a little vacation I did at the end of November, and I talked about this more in my non-fiction books I read in 2021 video, so I'm gonna link that up here, I think. So you can check that out. But basically, I already tried reading it at the beginning of the year and had some trouble with it, but then I listened to the audiobook and absolutely adored it. Wonderful book, great narrator, interesting stories, fell in love with it, really recommend it. And the other one was House Fires by Conor Fuente. This is his third book. Again, I talked about it in the non-fiction books of 2021, so not gonna spend much time on it, but it's just a really beautiful collection of short stories, poetry, gorgeous pictures all about his life and kind of in a memoir style. And I really enjoyed it. I like Conor Fuente, he does pretty things. And my sister gave me Lana Del Rey's poetry collection for Christmas. Actually, funny story. We were talking about what we want for Christmas and realized that we both want to read this poetry collection. So we both bought it and then made like little annotations in it for each other, and it was really sweet. So I actually read it before she gave it to me in order to annotate it for her, but I then also read it again with her annotations in it, and I think it's really well done. It's really like a cool style, because she does this thing where, example, this one, I hope it's gonna focus, but basically you have like the original one, the original poem that she initially wrote on one side and then the finished piece on the other side. And sometimes she like crosses things out, or she leaves her spelling mistakes in it, or she like writes in pen to add things. And it's really interesting, also beautiful poetry. There's some haikus in there. And again, with the addition of my sister's annotations, just beautiful, beautiful poetry. And the final book that I read in 2021 was Women and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I finally finished the series. I'm so happy. I'm finally done. I'm finally done with this series. If you didn't follow this story, basically I watched the TV show and really enjoyed it. And a friend, actually a friend of my sister's, told me that the book series is her favorite of all time and I should definitely read it. She didn't tell me that my favorite character isn't actually in the original trilogy. I was really pissed at her for that. So I can, now that I've gone through, that I've worked my way through this stupid story about Alina, I really don't like her. Actually, I did grow fond of Alina towards the end. I think she had an interesting story arc, and I really like the new characters that are introduced, especially the ones that will show up later. I loved Talia and, oh, what's the other name, Tamar? Those two, I really adore them, they're great. And Nikolai, obviously, love of my life, adore him. But now that I've read the trilogy, I can finally this year move on to the characters I actually care about. I'm so excited to read Six of Crows. I'm gonna take a little break from the series just because I've been so immersed in it and I've been so like focused on it that I want to take a little breather before I get back into it. But I'm so excited for Six of Crows. I love these three characters so much. Their dynamic was amazing in the show, and I've only heard that like the books are even better. Actually, the actor of Cass is the reason I even watched the show, because I knew him from oh, what's the show called? Raven? No. That show with horses. The kids show with horses, and he's like the bad guy with the soft heart, and yeah, I really liked him in that show. I really like the actor. I think he has a lovely smile. So I watched the show because of him, and obviously he's my favorite character. And now that I know who Nikolai is, I'm also excited for his series. So that's the goal for 2022, to get back into this and fall more in love with the characters. But yeah, that's all the books I read in November and December of 2021. As I said, not a lot for 2 months, specifically since it's manga and poetry and that kind of stuff. So yeah, as I said, I didn't read a lot, was kind of preoccupied, but I wanted to mention them and like finish up the web house of last year before I go into this year. I'm really excited to talk about the January web albums that comes out in like a week or two, because I read some amazing books, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, for now that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, I'm gonna leave the link for the non-fiction books I read last year, so you can check that out in detail. Read some great books. And I really got into the genre. I actually already read like 3 or 4 non-fiction books in January because I really enjoy it and I never thought that would happen. So yeah, watch that video if you want to. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you always find a reason to smile, and I shall see you soon. Bye!